Hey, hi guys, let's get started. So what we have done till now is we have a cloud account, okay, an AWS cloud account where we can create any number of instances. We went ahead and created a EC2 instance, and I was working on Mumbai region. Okay, I went ahead to my dashboard. Once I log into my Mumbai region, I go ahead and here I will say instance running as of now is 0, but I have one instance already created. I have two security groups and I have one key pair. Okay, so if I go here in my key pair, I have this Docker K8s key. Fine. So what I'll do is I'll again go back to my dashboard in this instance, and here it is currently in stopped state. I'll bring it up, come here and say start the instance. So I told you that if you stop your instance, this public IP will be gone. But this private IP is something will be always available. Okay. So make sure that you keep an eye on this. The data will stay intact. There's no problem with the data. The only thing is the IP address will be changing. Okay. Wait a second. So let me just bring it up and refresh this guy. I can see currently this is running and I see a new IP address. Now, how will I connect? So I have installed putty here. So come here and say putty. Say who is your user. So the default user is EC2 minus user at the rate, whatever is your IP address. Come here and say appearance, change the font size, make it 16. Okay. Then SSH, click on the plus button, go to this auth, browse, and I think I was using this Docker Kubernetes key. Open it up, accept. So now you can see I'm logged in as an EC2 user using Docker K8s key, and this is the machine. Now, if you remember, I had installed Docker previously, so I can come here and first log in as a root user, sudo su hyphen. Then I told once I am logged in as a root user, I will go ahead and say host name Docker server. I will say sudo su hyphen. So I'm logged in as a root user to my Docker machine. Is Docker available? So first is Docker minus version. So yes, Docker is available. I can see Docker is there. Is it running? So I will say service Docker status. So I can see it is loaded, it is available, but it is inactive. So I can start it. How to start it? Service Docker start. Okay. And it will start. Then this time, if I come back and say status, I will see it is up and running. Now, is it required that every time I log in my machine, I should go and start Docker? Automatically, should it start whenever I log in and it should stop when I log off? Yes. So you come here and say system CTL enable Docker. So the simple meaning of this command is that next time when I start my application, along with that, you start my Docker machine also. So from going forward, the Docker will automatically come up. I don't have to go and sit and start my Docker. So as of now, I know Docker is running. So to get started, you can come here and say Docker minus help. When you say Docker minus help, okay, you will get all the commands which are available on Docker platform. Okay, all the commands. Luckily, you will not be using all these commands, but it's a good practice or it's a good way to learn or to know what all commands are available here. So you can see here, there is a Docker CP command. So what it will do, copy files, folders between container and your local system. There is something called inspect. So it will give you low level information. You have something called Docker logs, which will give you the log. Pull, pull the image, push the image, restart, RM. So these are the generic or the general commands which you will be very oftenly using. Okay. Again, there's no need to memorize everything, but still to get used to the ways of working of Docker, I will request you to go ahead and take a copy of this, print out or keep it anywhere where you can access it on a regular basis. At any point of time, let me say I want more details. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So at any point of time, if you feel that this command is something which I should know more about it, so you can say Docker, that command. So let me say run command minus help. So all the options related to that command will be presented to you. Like -I stands for interactive mode. Okay. Then you have -T for your terminal mode. So like that. So you will get a lot of stuffs related to Docker on the help page. Okay, always refer to that. You get first-hand information without any manipulation. This is one way of getting started. The other way of getting started, I told, is you can go ahead and use a cheat sheet. So cheat sheet will tell you what all commands are important ones and how to get started with them. Okay, done. Now, first thing what I would like to know is how is my Docker, okay, different from the virtualization from a VM. So for that, I told there are two major concepts which are working behind the scene. One is virtualization and the other is Dockerization. What do you mean by that? So in my previous class also, I told that if you have a big machine, let me say you have 32 GB RAM and 5 TB of hard disk. And at max, whenever you are working with that, you hardly use, let me say 4 GB of RAM and 500 GB of hard disk. So you are kind of underutilizing your capacity. It is always advisable that you go ahead and share these resources with someone else so that others can use your resources, and at the end of the day you get a cost effective option. So this chunk can be shared with someone else, this chunk can be shared with someone else, and this chunk can be shared with someone else. When you do this kind of sharing, the very important thing is that this guy should not interfere this guy should not interfere this guy. So maintaining a virtual layer or maintaining an isolation is very important. And when you are able to get this kind of setup, this kind of setup is known as virtualization, or it is a virtual environment. Okay. So this guy will get a feeling that he is the only one working on the system, but internally he is sharing the resources with other members also. So this concept is called virtualization. Now, taking it a step ahead, we came with another concept called Dockerization. Now here, we put all our content in a container. It can be my code, my script, my dependencies, other executables. So whatever I need to get started, to get my work done, everything I'll put it in one Docker container and share it across. So this concept is known as Dockerization. Now, when I combine these two things, okay, I get something called Docker containers. So it is not that Docker container is something very new, okay, and it was not there. It was there in terms of VM. So you might have heard virtual machines. So virtual machines are very, I will not say user friendly, but very much needed. Okay. So VMs are there and were there, but there are certain problems with VM. Likewise, a VM is very heavy. It takes a lot of time to boot up. So if you have to shut down your machine and you have to again bring it up, it will take a good amount of time. Because they are heavy, they consume a lot of CPU, they consume a lot of storage. And if you're working on a cloud environment, okay, and you run these CPUs and storage on cloud, then you end up paying more money for the application. So net, the concept of VM is good, but then the exact VM is not what I want. So I go with a light version of this, lightweight version of this, and we say it is a Docker container. Okay. So if somebody says that Docker is a lightweight virtual machine, yes, he is absolutely right. It is a lightweight virtual machine. So let me come down here, take all these things out. So this is what we have covered. But when I talk about a Docker machine, I am trying to build, ship, and run any software anywhere. Now, these environmental dependencies is what I'm trying to sort it out, so that if a machine or if a code is working on one machine, it should work on the other machine also. Then this is what I was just now talking about. So when we talk about a virtual machine, okay, it will have its own operating system. So this is one virtual machine, this guy. So this guy is one virtual machine. Okay. Then this guy is another virtual machine. Now, each component, so see, there is a layer of isolation between them. So this is independent. This is also independent. So each layer is independent from the other one. So there is no interference. But the problem is that this machine comes with its own operating system. So we say guest operating system. This machine has its own operating system. This has its own operating system. Now, because of this, the problem is that it becomes heavy. Now you need a hypervisor separately to make the communication between your guest operating system and host operating system. So you need a hypervisor. Hypervisor is also heavy. It is very much expensive. So net, if I want to use the infrastructure of my machine, and if I install VM on that, the outcome is that, let me take it out. Okay, so the outcome is that the CPU utilization is on a higher side, the memory utilization is on a higher side, the boot time, the time taken to start the server and stop and start the server is more, and net it is an expensive thing when it comes to management also. So I go for a light version of the same concept. Okay, but if you come here, okay, you see that this Docker container is not at all expensive. Rather, it is a small one. You can see the size, it is small. Why? It doesn't have an operating system. It will make sure that it is using this particular operating system. So as a container, they don't have their own operating system. They have. So inside here they have, but it's very lightweight. It's very nominal, very small. Okay. So they don't have their own operating system. Okay. And they don't have hypervisor. So instead of hypervisor, they have something called Docker engine. So Docker engine is the one which will facilitate the work. So we say it is OS level virtualization and this is your application level virtualization. So here the OS is getting shared, and the OS is two different OS are working, one, and this is the other one, two. Here, if you see, only one operating system is there. Okay, so net at any given day, at any given point, the first choice should be with the containers or the Docker containers. Okay, so important thing, Docker engine and the application. So let's move ahead. When you talk about Docker, okay, there are three major components on any Docker environment. The first is this guy, Docker registry or Docker hub. Okay, then you have the Docker client, and then you have the Docker host or the Docker engine. So if you come down here and just stop your machine, so I will say Docker service Docker stop. Okay, so something has stopped, Docker service. Now if I run a command, Docker ps, or I can come here and say Docker Docker images. It is, wait a second now. Wait, service Docker service Docker status. Even if I stop it, service Docker stop.
I think we need.
Now it is inactive. Okay, so it is closed down. Now if I come here and run a Docker command, Docker images, still it is coming up. Okay, so we have run that enable thing now. That's why it is coming up. It is coming up actually. Okay, anyhow, when you run a command, okay, and if your Docker machine is in a stopped state, you get an error. Is Docker daemon running? Like that, you get an error message. Okay. So this is the Docker daemon or the Docker machine they're talking about. So I just now showed you something called Docker engine here. This guy is your Docker daemon or Docker engine. Okay. So if I talk about architecture, there are three major components: registry, client, host. Who is this registry? In general terms, if I say registry, it is nothing but my hub.docker.com. So in general terms, this guy is my registry or Docker registry. There are other registries also. Yes, I can stop, but I don't want to stop. That's why I'm not doing it right. So here you can go ahead and sign in. Okay, if you already have an account, you can just use those credentials to sign in. If you don't have, you can create one. But once you sign in or you just come here, you will see there are a lot of images available. Okay, and any image which you want, you create or anything, you can put it here. So net, this is a registry or this is a hub where you can go ahead and put all your contents. So this is my Docker registry. The second guy is my Docker host. So it is the machine where I have installed Docker. So when I install Docker, I get something called Docker daemon or the Docker engine. So if I have to see this again here, this time I will try this. Systemctl stop. Let's try this. Okay. Stopping. Let's check the status. It is coming up. So basically I have run this command, no, systemctl enable Docker. So it is every time you are stopping the server, it is automatically coming up. Okay, leave it, no worries. So the place where you install Docker, that's called Docker host. And inside Docker host, there will be a daemon or a Docker machine running. Then wherever you run these commands, Docker build, Docker pull, Docker run, that place is called client. So for me, the client and the Docker daemon is at the same place. So here I'm writing the commands like Docker PS or Docker images. So whatever or the place where you write these commands is known as Docker client. So this guy is my client. I will write the commands here. And inside Docker daemon is running. Now inside daemon, you will see two things are there, container and images. So what is container? What is images? Let's clear everything. So images are read-only format. Okay. So let me say that I will go here. You will see here Ubuntu. What is this? This is an image. Then you will say, wait. You were saying container. Now, all of a sudden, where is this image coming into picture? So I will say image and container are same, but there are differences. So when you say image, okay, so I will say it's a template. It's a read-only template. I will say read-only template. It's nothing but it's a file system. Or a layered file system, I'd say. Okay. So image is a read-only template. It's a layered file system. When you execute this or when you run this, it becomes a container. Container is the actual running application. Okay. And additional layer on top of image. Okay. When you say that I'm going to store a container, you cannot store a container because it's a running version. So when it comes to storage, you store the image. You cannot store the container. Okay. So stored in hub. And this is running application. Application is running, cannot be stored. Okay. So if I have to relate this, I will put it like this. 1 second. So this is, I'll put it like this. This is matchstick. This is fire. Okay, something similar to this. So when you have a matchstick, it's just sitting idle. It's not doing anything. But when you lit it, when you ignite it, it becomes a fire. Okay. If you see from a very 10,000 feet overview kind of thing, both are same, right? A matchstick and a fire are interrelated. But matchstick is something which you can keep it in your matchbox, and fire is something which will ignite or which will burn a lot of things. Something similar to that you have here. When I say image, it's a read-only template. It can be stored in the hub, and there is a layered file approach, or there is a layered file system. Okay. Or you can say image is a union of file system. There are a lot of files, there are a lot of codes which are put together in a image. When you run that, you get an application. It is an additional layer on top of the image and cannot be stored. Okay. Hopefully this thing is clear. Now, how and where will I get the images? So almost all the images you will get from hub.docker.com. You can come here. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, so almost all the images, one second. Okay, so almost all the images you will get from here. So let me say I'm looking for Nginx. So Nginx, what is Nginx? So here, click on this, and here it will talk about what is Nginx. So it says Nginx is a open source reverse proxy HTTP, HTTPS, as well as a load balancer. So I will get into the details later. Just remember two things. One, pronoun, it is named as Nginx. It's an open source proxy server and can be used for load balancing. So basically it's a server. Okay, in very simple terms, I will say it's a server. How to use this? So if you want to use this, okay, this is the one which you will be looking at. Docker pull and the name of the image. So if I come here and say Docker image ls, okay, either say Docker image ls or say Docker images, both are same. You will see some images are there. I will delete them. I don't need them. Docker RMI means remove the image ID and the image ID. So there is a conflict. Okay, so it says must be forced. So I'll say RMI minus F. Why is there is a conflict? So there are some containers running. I'll just show you that. Docker PS minus A. So there is a container related to this. So first let me delete this guy. Docker RM for the container. Deleted. Now if you come here and say Docker PS minus A, nothing is there. Docker images, you can see two images are there. Go ahead and remove them. Docker RMI means remove the image. This is the first ID and this is the second ID. See here, both are deleted. Clear. Docker images. As of now, nothing is there, right? Containers. So if you want to see the containers, Docker PS minus A, nothing is there. I want an image. How can I take the image? So if you want to take an image from hub.docker.com, the command is docker pull and whatever image you want. Nginx is the image which I'm looking at. You can either type it like this, or you can go here and
What if the server is not online?
server is not online in a sense,
it is not connected to the internet.
then it will not work. All the things what we are trying to do here is internet based. If you're not connected to internet, it will not work.
If it is meaning you cannot use the Docker if it is not connected to your internet.
Most of the time it will not, because again it will depend. See, if you have everything on your local machine, probably you will be able to work, but 90% of the time it will not work. You need to have a connection.
Because
AWS.
usually I am working as a VMware engineer. Most of my servers never connected to the internet outside.
VMware is a VM, right? Virtual machine is a different thing. It is related, but VM is a
it is
different
replacing the VMware usually,
yes.
right? Docker
Yes.
is replacing the VMware.
AWS
But,
itself is
entire,
a internet-based infrastructure.
Yes.
okay.
We want to access AWS platform, we have to have internet only.
Yes.
I think you
So
don't
that is basic.
have a knowledge.
Yeah.
But
So we
whoever
are installing
talking,
Docker
you
on.
can build the missions without internet also in AWS. Okay.
Yes, that those things can be done. Okay, hold on. See, one thing which is very much correct or very much a fact, that if you want to work on AWS, you should need to have an internet connectivity, because most of the times you will be fetching the content from cloud. That is one thing. But then when you're working with a VM, mostly what VM does is it pulls everything to your local environment. So if you are working on a local environment, then you may not go to internet always. Okay. So there will be scenarios where you will need internet connectivity mandatory. There will be scenarios when you can do a normal day-to-day work. First Docker search in local rep and then it goes to internet. Yeah, so this is absolutely right. So Anant has dropped a message here. Whenever you start your work, the first preference will be given to your local repo. It will be looked upon your local repo. If it is there, well and good. If it is not there, then it will go and search in the internet. Anyhow, I will take this command here and I will come here and paste the same command. Docker pull Nginx. Now, if you don't specify anything, it assumes that you are talking about the latest version. Okay, and it will automatically put the latest tag here. But in case you're looking for a specific version, you will have to come down to your tag and then you have to go all the way. So there is a latest, there is stable Perl, there is stable Perl, mainline Perl. So like this, you will see there are lots and lots of versions available. One Alpine Perl. So if you see here, so many versions are available. See somewhere if I go here, 1.7, 1.9. So these are the versions which they have maintained over the period of time. So I will want to go with the latest one. So I'll say Docker pull Nginx latest. Now, when I'm pulling an image, you will see the layered approach being followed here. So you will see that what happened. See here. So it is pulling one layer, one layer, one layer. So there is a layered approach. So there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 only, right? There are 6 layers, and it says I connected myself to this hub.docker.com and I pulled all these layers for you. And now this is the SHA ID or the commit ID. And as of now, a new version of Nginx is available for you. And this came from Docker library or your hub.docker.com. Now, the good thing is that this particular image is already available on my local. So if again I run this command, it will not again go to internet and pull the content. Rather, it will use the cache or the memory which I have in my local machine and take all the content. So if you see here, the first time it went ahead and pulled everything. In the second pull, if you see the commit ID remains as it is, there's no change in the commit ID because all the components is already there. So it says it is up to date and I don't have to do anything here. But once again, okay, so this time I am trying to pull a new version of Nginx. So let me say, I don't want the latest one. I want 1.7. So if it is there, it will pull. If it is not there, it will throw me error. Okay, so it is there, but it is saying it is outdated. Okay, so it is not a good one. So it says it will be better if you take the future compatibility ones, but then it takes that and gives to me. Now, if I want to see those images, I can come here and say Docker images. So I can see there is Docker 1.7, sorry, Nginx 1.7, and there is another, which is the latest one. And both have 2 different image IDs. The one was updated 2 weeks ago, it is 142 MB, and the other one is 6 years ago, and it is 93.4 MB. Okay, wait, I'll come to Docker run. Give me some time. So when you just want the images, okay, you can come here and say Docker image ls or Docker images. So this image, which I'm seeing right now, Docker image ls, is the read-only template, or it is the read-only version. It's not running. Okay, if I have to run this, I will use Docker run command. Okay, and as I told, Docker run command comes with a lot of options. Okay, so let me say I want to run this Docker Nginx, this ID I want to run. So again, I will go back here. So each component, they will tell you how to execute it, how to run it. Okay. So Nginx. So I'll go to this guy and I will scroll a little bit down. And here it is giving me an option to run it. This is how you run it. But there are many options which I don't understand at this point of time. So I'll take this one. So here, there are a few options which I need to understand. So the first command is Docker run. So run or execute this and giving a name. So I'm giving a name. So it will be minus name. If you don't give a name, any random name will be picked up. So I will give a name for it. It can be anything. It can be anything, any name of your choice. So let me say I have given as sample Nginx. Okay. Then you see an option here called -d. So -d is detach mode. So by default, it is -a or attach mode. Attach mode in the sense, it will block your console. Okay. I don't want my console to be blocked. So I'll say -d. And which image you want to run. So I want to run Nginx and then again the latest version. Okay. So enter. The moment you hit enter, you can see some commit ID got generated. And then if you come here and say Docker PS, okay, -a is for all, whether it is running, not running, you show it to me. You can see here, Nginx latest is running, and this is my container ID. This is running from last 14 seconds, and it is running at port 80. Okay. And this is the name, sample Nginx. What if I don't give the name? This name I don't give. See here, it came up with a random name, Tender Herman. So it came with a random name. So if you run, it will give you a random name. What if I don't run with this option -d? So it will kind of go and block my machine. See, it has blocked my machine. Now, if you want to type anything, you will not be able to type. Now it is kind of attach mode. It has kind of held your machine or your console or the CLI. So that is attach mode. So I will do Control C to come out. And the moment I come out of this, it exited or it stopped. So if I come here and see, the one which was the latest one has been exited or has been stopped. Obviously, if you want, you can start it. So you can take this. You can say Docker start and the ID. See here, it is up from last 2 seconds, or it is running from last 2 seconds. So like this, there are lots of commands. So gradually we will start learning them. So today we have learned what is the difference between VM and a container. What is container? What is virtualization? When I talk about an image, where will I find them? What is the architecture? And if I find an image, how can I pull it? Once I have pulled it, how can I execute it? So when I am executing it using Docker run, I saw there are 2-3 options which I explored at this point of time. But then gradually I will go ahead, and there are many options which we will explore when it comes to Docker run. Okay. Then Docker help command, which will help me to figure out what are the commonly used stuffs here. So these are the things which we have covered today. So now I'll close and open it for questions. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. So Docker is majorly about commands. So once you start using them, you will start getting more and more comfortable. You can go ahead. I think all of you will be able to unmute yourself. Wait a second. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your lecture today. instead of the name, can you put the image number instead of putting the name?
You can see the idea is that your image should be uniquely identified. So if you want, you can use the image ID or you can use
Image
the
ID.
name also.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Vikas. Good morning. Hi, Vikas. Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is, what is the use of this command docker ps-a?
PS, see, if you are coming from a little bit of Unix background, PS is process. Okay. So
Okay.
inside Docker, what all processes are running? So PS is process and -a is all. Means whether it is stopped, it is running, I don't care. I want to see everything what is inside this machine.
Okay, and what was the initial command that you said for running particular image ID? Something you said that.
See, you come here. Okay, wait, do one thing. History. Type history here. You'll get everything. All the commands are here.
Under the Docker engine, processor means it is a containers, right?
It's a container, yes. A container running in isolation.
Okay, because why are you using this Nginx?
Nginx is just a sample which I want to show. So Nginx is reverse proxy plus there is load balancing. So later down the line, we will use this server. But to get started, I just pulled one image from hub.docker.com and I'm using it.
Also, an existing image, we have used it, right?
Yes. As of now, we have used an existing image. Down the line, we will create our own images.
Vikas, hi, Rohit here. So I had a question. So when we start a container, right? I mean, sometimes I've seen that it goes to a point wherein it says status is exited, and whatever I do, like Docker start that container ID, it will
your
not
container
start.
is not able to start. So something is wrong with your container. The way you have written your container or the way you're starting your container is wrong. So basically, you can take it as a syntax error. It's a syntax error because of which it is not able to execute.
But when I do Docker ps-a, the container is still there. So
it is there. It will be there in the exited state.
Yes. So in this case, what do you suggest? Like, how do I kind of get it
You
up?
have to debug.
Like...
So basically, there is a command called. So let me say Docker ps-a. So I have a container running. Okay, it is constantly going in exit state. So there are two commands: Docker inspect. Okay, Docker inspect and use the container ID. Go inside and see what went wrong. So go inside. This is one way of debugging. So if there is something wrong, it will tell you what went wrong. The other command is Docker exec. Anyhow, I'll come to all these things tomorrow. Docker exec. Okay, and then -it, and then the container ID, and then bin bash. I'll come and teach all these commands tomorrow. So you're inside the container now. Now you will have to figure out what is the problem here.
Okay, so this I can execute even if it is exited, is it? The container,
Yes.
even if
it is exited. You go inside the container and see what is the problem.
Okay.
Hi, Vikas sir.
Yeah.
I saw there is a port related to each and every Docker. So what is the significance of the port and how I can execute the application also in our real time?
You will have -p flag. So again, that comes tomorrow. So when you say that on a single machine, I'm running 10 applications, how do you differentiate them, or how is the outer world going to reach to that server? So you will need the port number. So port number will help your machine to access the outside world. So this is point one. Second is that in case I have different port numbers, my content is virtualized or accessible in a different way altogether.
So each and every port, there will be IP address attached to that container.
Yes.
So how I'll get that IP address
I'll tell you everything. Tomorrow it comes, I'll tell you with the flow.
Okay, sure.
Because just go ahead.
Yeah, hi, because I have still doubt regarding the containers and images. As you told, like containers are the running applications.
Yes.
So on the applications, we are running the images on the containers. Is it correct?
See, image is a
No.
read-only version. Think
Okay.
like you have a template. Okay.
Mhm.
That is read-only. Template, read-only, you cannot execute it. Image.
Okay.
Template, read-only, cannot be executed. Image. Now, if I want to run it, want to execute it, that is a container. So a running image is called a container.
Your voice is breaking, because
I'm saying a running image is a
your voice is
container.
breaking, because
I don't know why it is. I'm saying a running image is a container.
okay. Running image is a container.
And your template read-only is your image.
Okay.
So
To give you some,
So
give
mainly,
some real-time examples.
yeah. So like because image is like fixed, okay, and that is
It's
for
fixed.
read
It's
only.
a
And
read-only
if
No,
I,
no.
template, fixed.
yeah,
Okay.
and if I run that
So,
image, that is Docker container, right?
Yes, that becomes a container.
Okay. And just show me one more time that how to connect send, no, like putty. Just could you please show me one
Okay.
more time?
So do one thing. We'll share the videos with you. Okay. And then these videos just go through that. Okay. Then probably tomorrow morning when we start, we will take these questions. So I want you to explore, because I can give you all these things, not a big deal. But the problem is that if I give you everything ready made, then the real experience, what you are going to get, you will not have that. So I'll share the videos, go through the videos, and we discuss the same tomorrow morning. Okay.
Hi Vikas, sorry, Rohit again. So the when you said yesterday, I asked regarding the notes or something. So you said you would be sharing that. I mean, I can see only the video shared, but nothing like a
Okay.
notepad file or
I'll
something
do
where.
it today. So the group has been
Okay.
created. I'll start sharing it in the group.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, Vikas. I have three questions. Basically, you are telling with respect to the repos, right?
Mhm.
So basically, when we have with an instance in an AWS, it is connected with an ad gateway, and we have internet connections.
Mhm.
Couple of entities like banking sectors and the government entities, they will not have even the NAT gateway also, and even they will be connected with transit gateways, and couple of firewalls will be blocking the internet access to
Yes.
access the internet.
Yes.
So as you were saying with respect to the repos, the repo in the sense we will have a separate server, we will download all the images to that particular server, and from that particular server we are going to access to a different
Yes.
from the different instances. It is like that.
Something like that, not 100%. So even if you don't give an internet access, there is something called Bastion host. So you
Right.
can connect via Bastion host if you have if you have a very critical application.
No,
Okay.
I have a direct connect directly. We don't have any Bastion host in that. We do have a couple
Whatever
of
it is, whatever it is.
servers which are
So
having internet connections. So only those particular servers will have internet connections.
that is also okay. So at
So
the
I
end
can,
of the day, whatever you need should be stored in your local environment on a different machine or in a same machine, but it should be stored so that your machine, whichever you are spinning it up, should be able to access it.
yeah, perfect. So that makes sense with respect to the enterprise standards. My second question is with respect to the batches. We have 3 batches, basically, one in the evening, 2 in the morning. So if I want only Kubernetes and the project, so I have to choose this particular batch, is it?
That Agile team will let you know.
Okay. And the third question is with respect to the project. Can you brief us with respect to what actually is the Kubernetes project that you are going to
Yes, that
help
will
us
also come give me some time. That is also a pipeline thing. So once the group is created, once everything is done, we will go ahead and do that also.
Excellent. And very good training. I would like to appreciate your efforts. I like the way you teach, not only with respect to the training, the way you communicate with respect to the points. I really liked it. I would like to suggest this particular training to everyone as well. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Okay, guys.
Because this is Sachin here, I have a question. I have a question with reference to one of the command that you use, that is Docker pull, Docker images hyphen name.
Yes,
In the
Docker
sample
run.
you do.
It was Docker
yeah,
run.
yeah. And then you use -d. So what is the actual use of -d?
Detach mode. I told you, right? It is detach mode.
Okay, so it detaches the particular image from the
Console.
container?
No. The console is detached. So again, same thing. Go through the video once. Things will be very much clear. In case no, then tomorrow before starting the session, we'll take the questions.
Okay, okay.
So will you share the video now or later
Yes,
on?
in an hour or so, we'll share it in the group.
Because do you have any local Docker which we can upload into
I
the
don't do anything
Docker
in my
Hub?
local machine. I don't do anything in my local machine. Everything is on cloud. So that is.
No, if we have any local Docker, how to upload them into the AWS?
Please don't do it. It's a trouble only. Create a fresh one on AWS.
No, let's say if we have it, if somebody has created,
You
and
have
if it is a requirement to
you
move
have
it.
to make a dump of that, load it to S3, and then you have to put it. It's a hectic process, basically, not that straightforward.
Hello, Vikas.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the detached mode, like we can say, like the container is running behind the scenes. Like in the background, it will run
behind the
instead
scenes,
of running in the
foreground.
console. It will run
Instead of running in the foreground,
in the
it is
background.
running
So
in
that
the
is the
background.
use of -d option, detached.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I have a meeting now. I'll just break. I'll take a pause here. I'll take all the questions in tomorrow's session. Before you start the class, I'll take all the questions. Okay, guys, see you then.
Hey, thanks, Vikas.
Thank you. Bye-bye.